dating as a Christian has been going pretty much how I would expect it. Probably even worse than I might have expected it to go, to be honest. And I laugh because what else are you gonna do there but laugh at the times. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey so far, to say the least. And that's not even just, I'm not blaming anybody in particular, any situation in particular. It's everything as a whole. It's me learning. It's me trying to grow, trying to balance everything out, trying to do my best in what I understand to be right, and still learning what's right. I'm still new in my walk, in my faith, in my Christianity, whatever you want to call it. I'm like a year and a half in. I'm still learning a lot. I've wavered in my times. I've, fell back into sin. I've backslid. We all do, especially if you're newer. I feel like, you might backslide a little bit more because you're still trying to balance out coming out of that worldly kind of life into a godly life. And it's difficult. It really is. A lot of people don't necessarily talk about that. A lot of people get that misconception going into things where it's like, oh, everything's gonna be sunshine and dogs and rainbows when you find God and when you walk in your faith, and everything's just perfect now. And God never said that. Like, in his word, he never said that once. He said there will be trials, there will be tribulations, there will be all of it. There will be tests, there will be just everything that you're going to face in life. You doesn't change when you're with God. It's you have God at your back now, and you can turn to him and rely on him in those times instead. So when it comes to dating, kind of have this quote unquote, this rule book to follow when you follow the Bible. But as a man who's lived on this earth for almost 37 years now, who's been an adult for however long, 18 to 30, 19 years now, right? Who has attractions and turn-ons, and that doesn't have to be sexual either. Like, turn-ons can be anything. Anything can turn you on. Doesn't have to be sexual. But in both regards there, right? Somebody who's trying to date, but also somebody who's lived in sin as far as the Bible is concerned when it comes to dating and relationships and the opposite sex. For my entire life, my entire time of trying to date in general, it's always been in sin in some way, sex before marriage and lust and all the other things that come with it. Everything that we know in this world, basically, right? And getting out of that mindset that I've been in for so long, because it's been just kind of ingrained within me for so long, because that's just what I'm so used to. It's difficult to get out of. It's definitely not an easy transition to get out of. For a little while, I found myself in a situationship a few months back now, the end of last year. And at this point, just before that time, I was walking pretty strong in my faith. I was going pretty strong. I was, going to church every Wednesday night, every Sunday. It was in the Bible, was reading scriptures, was learning, was sharing messages about it, was talking about, God, talking about the word and everything. And then I started to kind of waver a little bit. And then I allowed sin ultimately to kind of take over more, which is the devil. It's the devil getting his way in to pull you away from God, because that's what he wants. The devil wants to pull you as far away from God as possible. And I was kind of sliding into that a little bit. I was falling into that demise a little bit, and it became messy in a way because, like I said, it was living in sin. It was living in lust, but also love, but also maybe forced love, or I don't know what you want to call it. But the thing with love and lust is they often go hand in hand. They often kind of flip-flop. They often kind of mirage each other in a sense where you think you're in love, but you're really in lust. And that can set you up for failure. It really can. And that's kind of what I was putting myself into. Is I was part of the crappy situationship is to put it best. I don't want to get into all the details, but we were messing around and fooling around and hooking up and even got to the point of having sex, and we weren't even in a relationship. Like, we weren't dating. We weren't anything. She had, her own things going on, and I was losing myself and losing my faith and losing my walk with God, and it was the devil pulling me away. And I was left at the end of it. I was the one that was hurt because I give a lot. When my heart becomes involved, I give all. I give everything I have. I give all of my love. And I thought this person was the person that I'm supposed to, or I wanted to, or whatever it was, to give all that love to. And it wasn't right. I was setting myself up for failure. And that's ultimately pretty much what happened. I fell into a world of pain, of hurt, of angst, of upset, of just confusion, of everything negative that you could feel from a dating, a relationship, whatever that might be, right? And it didn't feel good. It wasn't good. I started to feel almost lost, and I was questioning things. It was weighing heavily on me. What was the point, and why would I even do that? And beating myself up about it, and literally just giving into what the devil wants to do. He wants that. He wants to bring you down. He wants to bring you, like I said, as far away from God as possible. And it was starting to happen more and more because I was living in sin. I was living in lust, and I wasn't living in love. And God is love. God is ultimately love. And it doesn't mean love in the regards of I love you, I'm with you, you're, my girlfriend, my wife, whatever it is. That can be when it's true and real, and faith backed, then yeah, sure. But as a whole, Christ is just love. Loving your neighbor, loving your enemy, loving yourself, all of it. You're loving your family, right? All of it. True, unbound, unabashed love, where there's nothing tied to it. It's just love, pure love. And man, I just lost myself. I really did. I lost my walk a lot with God, and I just didn't know what I was doing, really. I was, like I said, living in that lust and living in that sin. Got myself through it, therapy, God, getting back to a stronger walk again. That's the beautiful thing about God is his grace. He doesn't ever condemn you. He doesn't ever look at you and say, well, you messed up. See you later. Don't come back. The door's always open with God. That's the beautiful thing. And I recognized what I was doing, and I repented on it, and I spoke with God a lot again and just prayed on things. And I finally got it on my heart to say, you know what, like let's change how we date. Let's change how we view dating. Let's try to start making some changes that are more biblical. Let's try to implement more biblical type of ways of being, ways of thinking, ways of doing into my dating life as I start to kind of find myself entering that dating world again. And right away I said, okay, I'm not having sex. I'm taking that off the table for myself before I get into any relationship, before I even start talking to anybody. At this point, I'm by myself. There's nothing else. And I said, you know what? Let's try something different. And there's not going to be sex. I'm not having sex until marriage. That's simple. It's that simple. I'm no longer going to entertain sex until marriage. And I got to the point within myself and, my prayers and everything where I'm good with that. I'm okay with not having sex for the most part. Again, I'm still trying to transition out of that worldly thought, the worldly mindset. So there's still times where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind. And that's the difficult part, but that's where your discipline can really come in. But see, the thing is, what I learned from one of the pastors at my church as well, I was asking him kind of about situations, and he said, if it's something that's going to lead you into temptation more than it should, if it's going to lead you down that path, right? Like if I'm doing something, if I'm with somebody or doing things with that person, whatever it might be, that might lead me to want to have sex or on the verge of having sex, then it's probably not right. It's probably not something I should be doing. It's probably not as God sent as I thought maybe it could be. So I'm going through time, I'm going through dating and, just kind of talking to people here and there on the apps and whatever. I don't really go out, so I meet people on apps, whatever. And nothing's really sticking, whatever. And then I meet one woman who's incredible woman, incredible and smart, funny, strong, beautiful, all of it. And I'm like, wow, this feels a little bit different. We were, for the first little bit of talking, we were just building a chemistry and a bond over communication, what we think, what we feel, how we see the world, how we see faith, talks about faith. And this was the first time with the opposite sex as far as pursuing dating or whatever goes, where I had conversations just about God and about faith, and the warmth that came over my heart was literally one day she brought up like Bible scriptures and she was like, what's your favorite Bible verse? And started talking about things. And I was taken aback and I was like, wow, like, what is this? This is so different, but like in the most amazing, beautiful way ever. And my heart just, I felt this sense of warmth coming over my heart, and it was a beautiful thing. And we grew together and we talked more about things, and things were going very well. We were getting along great. We were hanging out and having great times together and all of it. And yes, we flirted, whatever, like, that part of dating and relationships. But one day we kind of fell down that road of going beyond kissing, and we hooked up a little bit, and obviously it felt good. Like it feels good. God doesn't create things that don't feel good. He never said that. He never said, oh, sex and sexual acts feel awful. He never said that. But it's almost the feeling after, right? Like the physical feeling, maybe even the mental too, but the physical feeling more than anything, it feels good. It's more so your mental, your mind, your heart, your body, your soul that feels different, feels off, whatever it might be after. Why did I do this? Why? What was the point? What did it fulfill? Why? There's nothing to it. And that's where it comes in. So that night or whatever it was, I'm home and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I felt, for lack of better words, I felt empty and just felt off. But I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll be okay. I prayed, went to sleep, whatever it was. A couple days later, we hang out and things are going great again. And we're communicating, having great talks and all that stuff. And then, we hook up again. And that time I didn't feel as convicted. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't feel as convicted this time. So it's, okay, it's getting better, whatever it is. Next time, same thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But then after a couple times, something just really weighed on me and I was really feeling convicted. God put something on my heart and I could really feel it. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the way. Maybe I started off the relationship, whatever you want to call it with her, telling her, hey, like, I'm not having sex till marriage. And she respected that. She said, you know what? Like, that's something I would like to try as well. But then we kind of found that loophole and did some other stuff instead. And it got to the point where after a couple times, I was, like I said, something was weighing on me. God put something on my heart pretty heavy. And I was like, you know what? I don't think this is the way. I don't think this is the right way to do it either. Maybe this should be nothing, like kissing, whatever. But like even that can lead you quickly to the next level, right? So I brought it up to her. I had a conversation and that was basically the end of things. She wanted some things. And at that point in time, I was debating those things. So we separated. We stopped talking, stopped dating. And that was that. It hurt for a minute because I had a really good connection with her. And like I said, we were talking about faith and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the right one. It wasn't the right thing. It wasn't the right time, the person, all of it. It wasn't. God will put people in your life for a reason. God puts you in dating situations and all of that for reasons to learn things about yourself and whatever else it may be and to strengthen you and show you things and help guide you to the next step in your life or whatever that looks like. But obviously it still sucks at times, right? You have a connection with someone and you lose that, it ends, whatever. That sucks. But obviously ultimately it was for the better. But I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's how it should be. But then I started going back and forth and, well, maybe this and this is okay, but not this and this. Maybe if I just do this and this, I'll be okay, but I don't go all the way or whatever it might be. And I wasn't really sure. So I went back into the dating pool and nothing really came of it. I, had a few chats with a few people here and there, but nothing really came of it. And then I found myself back into a friendship with the person that I was in that situationship with last time. Kind of bumped into each other, started talking again and hanging out and being friends, and things were going great. I looking back now, I think God brought us back together for a friendship because when we are friends, we lift each other up. We're there for each other. We have, talks about life, and she's not a person really of faith. Like she says she prays and stuff, but she's not a Christian. She's not really a Christ follower in that sense. And like I said, I'm not the best at it. I'm still growing and learning, like I said. But as far as that goes, she's not really in it like that. But you can still be friends with people, right? Like doesn't mean you can't be friends. Look at Christ. Christ hung out with the worst of the worst, try to help them and grow and whatever that may be. So we start hanging out and things are fine. Things are friendly and nothing and whatever. Like, yeah, sure, we're attracted to each other. But there's so many people in the world that you can find attractive and it doesn't mean anything, right? So things are going, things are fine, friendship, whatever. And then, it turns into a friends with benefits thing. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, this is great. It feels great. But then quickly things kind of turn again because I want more and I don't do those things without feeling a connection behind it. And neither does she, but yet it's happening. And it's weird because we do have a bond. We do have a, like I said, we have a best friendship bond and a connection. But then we're trying to take it into our own hands, right? We're trying to take it into our own kind of path. And this is what we're doing. And it's okay. And whatever it might be, it feels good in the moment, right? And all that stuff. But it starts to fall apart. We start to, butt heads and see different things and have different views and wanting different things out of it. And it just doesn't work. And then I'm left feeling empty again, feeling confused, feeling like, why am I doing this? Because I so badly want love. I so badly want that, in a sense, fleshly love. I want that love in human form. But there's no greater love than God's love. There really isn't. And when I focused on that and live in that, it's The sense of peace and joy that I feel within me from the Holy Spirit being within me is incredible and something that I've never really felt before in my life. And I lose that here and there because it's one of those things, if you're like me, where I can't feel it. I don't reach out and touch it. I can't touch that love. I can't feel that love in the physical sense. And then I try to look for it in that sense instead. But what happens is you can't live in sin and live in God at the same time. So I'm replacing God with that sin. I'm replacing God's love with worldly love, with fleshly love. You just can't do it one way or the other. And you can try to lie to yourself, but you can't lie to God. So you can try to sit there and say, oh, I'm okay. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, whatever. You can lie to yourself. You can fool yourself. You can let the devil come in and fool you. Can't fool God. Can't lie to God. He knows. He knows what's really on your heart. He knows, yeah, you're trying to trick yourself here. Like, he knows. He's sitting up there looking like, no, that's not going to work, bud. Sorry, pal. Not going to work that way. You want to work it that way? You think it's going to? No. Not how it works. These aren't the rules. These aren't what happens. You can't say, well, I'm a Christian guy, but also this is okay and whatever. No. If you live in sin, if you love sin, you can't love God. That's simple. And that's kind of what, where I'm at today is now working out of that again and figuring out I'm doing a lot of things wrong. And that's okay. But I'm doing a lot of things wrong when it comes to dating as a Christian man, when it comes to dating as a Christ follower. This is why I wanted to share these things today and share kind of my experiences, some of my stories to help kind of put things into more relevance in a way for you. Maybe you can relate to what I'm sharing in those stories in some way. But my advice is what I'm learning to myself is pray, stay in your prayer, talk to the elders, talk to people who have been a Christian for a lot longer, your pastors, whatever it might be. Learn and continue to learn and continue to stay in that, continue to stay in your prayer. And if you're not sure about something, really, really, really pray on it and talk about it first and really do something that you're sure of. If you're not sure, do not do it. Not commit to something you're unsure of. It's that simple. When it comes to your life in general, if you're unsure of it and you're unsure that it aligns with your faith, that it aligns with God, and it aligns with his word in any way, don't commit to it. Don't do it. Until you are sure, do not do it. So if you're sitting there saying, I don't know if I should do X, Y, Z in a relationship, don't do it. Until you get confirmation of some way through God, because he'll let you know. Don't do it. It's easier said than done. Trust me. I'm to this day, I'm still trying to work through it and figure out like, hey, you can't lie to yourself because you're lying to, you can't lie to God. You can try to lie to yourself, but if you're trying to lie to yourself, you're trying to lie to God. You might be able to fool yourself for a little bit, but you'll never fool God. And that's something you need to learn. That's something I say you, I mean myself. Like, yeah, I'm sharing it to you guys who might listen, but saying you, I'm really talking to myself. Like, this is you, almost like I'm looking in the mirror to myself. You need to be honest. You can't sit there, right? Instead of me saying, well, I don't want to hook up with people. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. The reality is I'm still learning and growing and trying to get out of that where I do want to hook up with people. Well, not that, like, I don't want to go just randomly hook up with. I want a relationship, right? Like, I want a relationship, but in this present moment, that relationship to me involves flirting and sexual flirting and sexual acts of some way. Like, that's just where my mind is right now. It's something that I need to work on and grow, but that's me being honest. This is what I was kind of having the conversation last night with God and praying is not lying to myself because I'm not lying to him. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I don't need that. I don't want that. I don't, no, right now in this present moment that I need to work on myself and work on my faith. I'm living in something that I'm not ready to let go of yet. I'm used to it. It feels good, whatever it might be. But I also know how I feel mentally and spiritually and everything like that after the fact. And that feels 10 times worse. And that sticks with me way longer. So it's something that I'm working on. And I just hope that this can help you in some way to learn that maybe you can work on it too within yourself and be honest with yourself. Because like I said, you need to be honest with God. And it's what I'm learning. It's what I'm going through. It's what I'm trying to grow through. And God will put things on you one way or the other. He'll let you know what to do. He'll let you know what he wants you to do. And a lot of things about fasting started coming up yesterday out of nowhere. Like, I was trying to listen to some Christian, pages on TikTok and social media. I couldn't sleep and I was trying to listen. I read the Bible and was listening to different things that had to do with Christianity and stuff. And the common theme was fasting. Some of it came up as like health stuff. And then some of it also came up from like Bible verses and Christian people talking about fasting and why you do it. And I was like, why does this keep coming up? I'm like, this is God speaking to me. I was being quiet and listening and trying to pray and God was speaking to me. God will speak to you in so many different ways. And sometimes that way is through social media and stuff. And that's what he was doing with me. He was telling me how you need to fast. And fasting, a lot of people think it's just food. Fasting is anything. If you give something up for a certain amount of time, that's fasting. If you do it in the name of God, it's that much more meaningful because you're showing him, hey, I can do this. Hey, I want to be better. Hey, I want to grow. I want to be more disciplined. I want you to help instill that discipline within me. So I'm doing it for you because again, you can't lie. You can try to lie to yourself, but you can't lie to God. So if you're just doing it for yourself, you might let it slip. But if you're doing it for God, you don't want to let him down, right? Like if you don't want to let your parents down, right? In certain things or everything, hopefully, but God's your ultimate father. So you don't want to let him down. So if you're doing a fast in the name of Christ, it has a lot more power behind it, a lot more meaning to it. You might mess up. That, I'm not saying you're perfect. We might mess up. We might not. Stay with it. You repent, apologize, try it again. Okay. But what I'm doing is I'm learning all these things and I'm listening and everything's fast, fast, fast. Do this, do that, fast, this, that. Wow, God really is putting something on me. And I'm sitting here, right, in this time of dating and time of turmoil, in a sense, whatever you want to call it, and dating isn't working and I'm doing it for the wrong reasons and whatever. Maybe I need to fast from dating. Kind of what came on my heart is I was already debating, like, what's the point of dating right now? Maybe I'm not actually ready for it as much as I thought I was because the fleshly, worldly features keep coming up, things that I want to try to work through and avoid as much as possible. I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's where I start, is fasting from women, in a sense, fasting from dating. So I deleted the apps right off my phone. I went back in my phone, the dating apps that I had, took them right off my phone. I don't know how long I'm doing it for, a couple weeks, a couple months, who knows? But for right now, for at least a little while, one of the things that I'm doing is fasting from dating. And that's okay to be alone. That's okay to want to date, but also not want to date. It's about that self-awareness. It's about learning. It's about listening to God. And that's the biggest thing I can say is when you're in your dating life as a Christian, I mean, in general too, but obviously a Christian because you're with God, is pray and talk with him and ask him, what am I doing? What should I be doing? What shouldn't I be doing? How do I want to do this? What do I want to approach? What type of people do I want to bring into my life and everything like that? And am I ready for this? Should I be doing this? And be honest with yourself, and you'll get to the point of what you want to do and you'll learn because he'll help you get there. He'll show you the way. So sometimes you might want to date, but you're not ready to, and you don't want to force it because you're going to lead yourself to a road that's very bumpy. You're going to bring yourself down a road that you don't want to be down. You're going to give yourself into more temptations. You're going to give yourself more to the devil than you want to. So if you follow God and listen to him, he'll help you and he'll get you through it. You don't have to be lonely. You have God. You have the Bible. You have the Word. You have whatever else you might have. And he's strengthening you. He's building you up in those times for something so much better. Sure, you might be wanting to date, but not quite ready to give up some of those fleshly things. So, hey, you might go and date somebody for a little while and have a connection with them and hook up with them, have sex with them, whatever that might be. And that might feel good. In those moments, it might feel great. But then when it comes crashing down, you're left questioning it all. You're left feeling pretty low. And then what? Kind of got to start over again, in a sense. And take it from me, it'll happen. But if I could just listen to God in the first place and stick with God, I'd get to that destination a lot faster, possibly a lot easier, a lot less pain and struggle and heartbreak and whatever that might be. Take it from me. I've been there. I've been trying to do it, and it doesn't work because I'm trying to do it my way. Trying to do it my way, it isn't going to work. And you could take one thing from anything that I'm saying right now. It's that. It's follow God. Let God lead you in everything. Right now, obviously, this topic is dating. Let God lead you in dating. Let him tell you what to do. Let him show you the people. Let him show you the way. It's going to help you so much. It's going to help save pain and struggle and everything else so much. So if you're trying to lie to yourself, trying to lie to God, it's not going to work. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with God. God, I want to date, but this is also how I feel. God, I want to honor you, but I also feel this way. He's not going to judge you. It's okay. It's okay to want to honor God, but also have a feeling within you that you want to flirt with somebody and have sex with them, or you want to hook up with them. But it's what you do with that. It's how you move in those moments that really determine where you stand and what you're doing in your walk in your faith. Do you give into that fleshly thing? Or do you start to work through it and overcome and lean on God that much more and let him guide you away from sin into something better? Because when God leads you away from sin, it's leading you to something better. It's leading you to something that he wants for you more, that he has for you, that he is building you up for. Sounds a heck of a lot better, if you ask me, than me trying to do it and hurting myself. In the end, is basically what's happening. Hopefully you can learn something there from me and take something of value there and some of my experiences of dating as a Christian person. And I wanted to share that with y'all. Hope you can take something from it. Like I said, if you like these type of videos, me sharing kind of things that I've learned, things of experience, things of my kind of views of how I see things with God and faith and Christianity. Subscribe to the channel and find your way back. I love everybody who checks out videos, who might want to comment. If you want to comment, or if you have any topics that you want to speak on or you want me to speak on, let me know. If it's something that I've lived in, I can try to share my experiences with. I'm going to leave you with this Bible verse that talks about your heart and protecting your heart. Proverbs 4:23, and it says, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. It's saying guard your heart. Stay with God. Let him protect you. Let him guide you. But keep your heart guarded. Be safe with your heart, because when you let it open up to the wrong things, to the wrong people, you lose that purity. You become less aligned with God and his will, and you're more susceptible to harmful influences and that pain, like I said. So keep your heart with vigilance. Guard it at all costs. Try to stay away from those fleshly things as much as possible, because in the end, they'll hurt your heart. And that's not something you want to do. Proverbs 4:23. Just remember that. And I'll catch you on the next one.